Dracula. Prince Vladimir is with his bride when duty calls. The Ottomans are advancing and he is ordered to lead his army into battle. Before he goes to the priests for a blessing. Vlad makes one thing very clear. He's willing to fight and die all in the name of God, but his wife must be protected. So he heads into battle. Everything goes fine. He dominates and he wins. But victory does come at a price. While he's away, a trap is set for his bride and she's killed. He goes back to the priest, desperate, demanding that God bring her back, but the priest tells him simply this is not possible. Vlad just doesn't lose hope. He loses his faith. He renounces God on the spot, and that's the birth of Dracula. Now, we fast forward 400 years. Jonathan Harker, he's a lawyer, and he travels to Dracula's castle on business. Now, while he's there, Dracula discovers Jonathan's fiancée, Mina, is the reincarnation of his long-lost bride. Dracula is determined to reclaim his love lost, no matter what it takes. I actually like the approach they took with this version. Instead of just leaning into the monster stuff like a lot of other movies do, this one really focuses on the crisis of faith, the sense of religious betrayal, and the romance at the center of it all. That part isn't rushed or brushed aside like it usually is. It's front and center, and you really get Vlad's perspective. They take the time to show what happens after her death, not just in that moment that he turns, but the years that follow. You know, what he's been doing, how he's been searching, what that obsession looks like over time. That adds weights to everything. Some horror elements are still there, but they almost feel kind of like an afterthought. The emotional core is really the tragedy of the situation, the love he lost, and the pain that shaped him, more than just the typical, hey, look how scary Dracula is. It made the story feel heavier, more human, and way more emotionally engaging than just a straight horror movie. Now, as much as I like that emotional angle, a lot of the action and horror elements just aren't done well. For example, there are these gargoyle servants that show up, and the CGI on them is pretty rough. They don't feel scary, they feel out of place, and honestly, it's a little laughable. In general, the action across the movie is pretty mediocre. Christoph Waltz is solid as the vampire hunting priest, but he really isn't given much to do. It feels like his role should have more weight than it had, but the script just doesn't give him enough material to work with. I wasn't sold on the makeup choices either. Before Dracula rejuvenates himself, he kind of looks like an old woman, and not in a creepy, intentional way, in a more cheesy, distracting way that kind of pulls you out of the whole horror of it, since, you know, he looks so cheesy. The whole backstory gets tons of time to breathe, which I liked, but then the last act feels rushed. So he finds her, convinces her of who she really is. They go back to his castle. The hunters track them down, and then, boom, the final confrontation. None of those big moments get the space they need. It's like they carefully built the emotional foundation, then they crammed the entire climax into that last 30 minutes. So this is one of those movies that had a lot of potential, but it ends up landing right in the middle for me. I respect that they took time building up the conflict and the romance part. That part actually works. But then they completely fumble the action and a lot of the horror elements, which keeps it from being as good as it could have been. At the end of the day, I'd say it's worth a stream, but I don't think this is a full price theater movie for me. But that's just my take. What did you guys think? Did you like the flashbacks and the heavier focus on romance over straight horror? Or did you want more action and scares? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.